Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom lakam, which is peace unto you all. Hayawam tawab la atam za yakam yawam manor chagado Charlotte, which is good day. This is your brother Yawam from the GMS camp in Charlotte. Nachamatam kayah malakata shamayim kwara. Repent ye for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call halayim la la abanawa Yahweh bahasham Yahweh shai bahasham ruach hakodash wamashna la za kwanim na wamalakyam sharuch chagado, which is all praises to our Father Yahweh, which means He exists. Bahasham, in the name Yahweh Shai, delivers in double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Today's lesson is going into Ahchaad Dabar Ba, or which is Ahchaad Yawam Ba, which Ahchaad Dabar Ba means one thing at a time. You see, but the days are essentially comprised of those small victories, that we have. You see, but then also, we can't look at what we have to do tomorrow. All right, we have to, worry about what we have today. All right, and ultimately win those small battles and control the controllable. You see, because ultimately the victory has already been written. It's just that the elect is going to take those steps. All right, and the elect is going to count those small victories. You see, so I just want to go into a lesson. Just illustrating that topic. All right, so we'll just go ahead and get some precepts. This is Matthew chapter 6, and we'll get verse 33, and it says, "But seek ye first the kingdom of the Most High, and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." It says, "Take therefore no thought for tomorrow, for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof." You see, so ultimately, we should be prioritizing the Lord. We should prioritize, this truth. All right, and it says, "And His righteousness." All right, and the righteousness ultimately goes back to the faith. All right, that corresponds. That's going to bring, the fear. All right, the actions, those small victories, that we can see, and it's going to add forth, to the hope. You see, because that experience and fear in the Lord is going to bring that hope. Pursuant to Romans the 5th chapter. All right, so let's also get this. Zamashaya. This is Proverbs 11, and we'll get verse 14, and it says, "Where no counsel is, the people. Where no counsel is, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety." I'm going to run it back. It says, "Where no counsel is, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety." You see, so ultimately, we should be seeking counsel. You see, and in that counsel, we should prioritize and plan, all right, from those different counsels. So this can entail and comprise of having a journal, all right, having a planner, all right, and ultimately, again, marking off those small victories, you see, because that's going to add forth to that experience and that hope, you see. So let's also get this. Zamashaya, this is Proverbs 29 and verse 18. It says, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. All right, and that vision going back to the understanding of the prophecies, having that eye salve, you see, and also in that, because being that the elect is going to put on as the elect, you see, they're going to have that vision and a plan for themselves in righteousness, you see, because we shouldn't just, be going through the motions. We should have spiritual goals, all right, and also, carnal goals that align with those spiritual goals, so that we can grow, all right, and be that new creature in the Lord, Yahweh Shai, all right, or the Lord, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, all right. So let's also get this. Zamashaya, this is Proverbs 4 and verse 18. It says, "But the path of the justice is the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day." You see, so as we continue to grow in the faith, all right, through the Spirit, our goals, we should keep setting those goals, you see, because ultimately it's going to correspond, with that, the understanding that the Lord is blessing the elect with. You see, because as these days grow more perilous and perilous, all right, the peril is increasing. You see, the elect is going to have that eye salve to be able to maneuver, all right, through these dark times. All right. So we'll get this too. Just going into that. This is Ephesians chapter 5, and we'll get verse 15, and it says, "See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise." You see, so somebody that's circumspect, all right, they're gonna have the vision. They're gonna be using the vision, all right, and using it tactfully. You see, and ultimately planning out their steps, all right, not just walking aimlessly, all right, as the people in the world do, all right. So I'm gonna also read this because it's a saying in the world. It's called "win the day." I'm gonna get this too. This is the word for racha, all right, and that ultimately goes into some type of boundary or lifestyle that's set. All right, and it says racha, and it says, or rach, it says the responsibilities of the nomad outside of the tent include feeding, watering, and caring for the livestock. Livestock are healthier and more productive when on a routine. Therefore, the man follows a routine or prescribed path each day when caring for his livestock. The pictograph Ra'ash is the picture of a head of a man. The Cha is a picture of a wall that separates the inside from the outside. Combined, these mean man outside, but pretty much Ra'ash goes into head, and the Cha is a wall, it's a boundary. You see, so the head of man connects us to boundaries, all right, specific type of way of life. You see, and in that, all right, that's why we should be prioritizing the Lord. You see, keeping the Lord first. So, an example would be, okay, before we do anything in our day, all right, we pray to the Lord. You see, and then also, we might read, do a video or something like that, but have prioritizing the Lord first in our day, all right, it gets us in that mindset to keep the Lord the priority, you see. So I'm also read this quote. It says, win the day, all right, and how do you win the day? You get them small victories. When you look at those that, they did a poll study one time on athletes, all right, and they said the ones that was in the top 20, they was good, but what really separated the top 20 from the top 5 was the top 5. They would continuously tell themselves they had them positive thoughts, and they would speak positively to themselves. And a lot of times, those at the top of their class, they win it bit by bit. All right, one small victory, another small victory. Not looking at the bigger picture, but okay, if I can win this minute, okay, let me win the next minute. All right, brick by brick. All right, and that's essentially why I entitled the lesson Ahchaad Dabar Ba. All right, one day at a time, you see, but that day is also comprised of the smaller steps, you see. So win them small steps, because that's going to comprise of that day, So read this too. It says, winning the small battles, which builds routine planning, journaling, and also the planner. And then it also helps, prioritizing the Lord by including the Lord in our day to day and putting off the old man, because again, that goes into that routine, all right, that prescribed pattern, that prescribed lifestyle, all right, again, in that walk, all right, and following the Lord, Yahweh Shai Hamashayach, all right. So let's also get this. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 14. We'll get verse 33, and it says, for the Most High is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. You see, so ultimately, the Lord is the author of peace. All right, and what gives us that peace, all right, again, is the scriptures. You see, and then also keeping us inside a certain type of, routine, routinely considering the Lord, all right, in our day to day, And I'm also get this, verse 40, it says, let all things be done decently and in order, so we should have some type of orderly type of fashion that we conduct ourselves in, you see, because going back up to verse 33, it says the Lord isn't the author of confusion, so if we doing this this time and this day and this time and this time at this day, it should be more so orderly, you see, to get our minds working in a specific type of way, so that we're not having those racing type of thoughts, So I'm gonna also get this, and I'm gonna go ahead and close. Zah Mashal, this is Proverbs. Well, I'm gonna get a couple more, then I'm gonna go ahead and close. But this is Proverbs chapter 24. I'm gonna actually get Sirach 33 and verse 4 first, and then we get that Proverbs. Zaban Sirach, this is Sirach, also known as Ecclesiasticus chapter 33, and we'll get verse 4, and it says, prepare what to say, and so shalt thou be heard, and bind up instruction, and then make answer. You see, so ultimately, we should be planning what we're going to say, all right, planning what we're going to do, because, talking also goes into your conduct, your conversation, so we should be planning how we walk and conduct ourselves, all right, and then we make answer, actually go out and do it, and ultimately, all right, we'll be heard, we'll be understood, all right, because the scriptures say in Sirach 19, that pretty much a man may be known by his look, how a man walks, his gait shows what he is, roughly paraphrasing. So we conduct ourselves in a specific type of manner, we will receive of that type of respect, and we are to conduct ourselves, as kings, but then also, actually going into, how we speak, actually preparing and journaling and, planning, that helps us with our speech. All right. And it helps us put together our thoughts. All right. So that it is understood by those that are listening. All right, that's why it says, prepare what to say, and so shalt thou be heard. Bind up instruction, and then make answer. After we have planned out what we want to say, then we go and, make an answer, conduct ourselves in that specific type of way through the Spirit. All right. And before that, it's a saying in Charlotte, the 7 P's, preparation prevents poor performance plus prayer. So we should be praying to the Lord in those plans. Before those plans, we should pray that the Lord blesses those plans so that we can conduct them. All right. And that, through the Lord's will, it pans out in our favor, you see. So we'll get this, and I'm going to go ahead and close. Y'all. This is Proverbs 24, and we'll get verse 27. It says, prepare thy work without, and make it fit for thyself in the field, and afterwards build thine house. You see, so it's a degree of preparation. All right, we should be firm, we should be stable, we should be established. You see, and all of this comes by way of, all right, first and foremost, talking to the Lord and praying. You see, and then also in conjunction with that, arranging, all right, directing towards in a moral sense, and actually writing these things out so that, when it comes time to do it, all right, ultimately we can rehearse it on full speed, 100%. All right, and win those small battles, so that, we're walking as we should, you see, because, again, the elect is going to put on as the elect, and the elect will be walking, following the Lord, Yahweh Shai, you see. So I don't want to zaza by Lord's will. That was a beautiful edification through the Spirit. Well, I don't want to zaza Adam Yashi Awam Tawab, Lord's will. You all have a good day. Wa shalom lakam, which is peace unto you all. Shalom, shalom.